So one of the many blessings that guys in formation to be priests get to experience is getting to go into all the schools in the diocese. And pretty much they all kind of start the same way. We go in, we talk a little bit about the seminary, talk a little bit about ourselves, and then we open up to questions. And the students a lot of times ask similar questions to start. They're kind of feeling you out. What exactly is seminary like? What do you do there? How long does it take? How long have you been there? That kind of stuff. But then, once they get comfortable around you, they start to ask more personal questions to actually find out who you are as a person. And so that's when they start to ask your favorite color, your favorite food, what sports did you play, are you musically talented? And one question I get a lot, at least, is what's your favorite movie? Now, I'm a little bit, I guess, embarrassed to admit it, but my favorite movie is actually a rom-com. It's a romantic comedy called Hitch. Has anyone here seen Hitch before? All right, that's a good amount. But some of you still have some homework to do, so I'll make sure you do that. But anyway, for those of you who haven't seen the movie Hitch, it stars Kevin James and Will Smith. Kevin James plays this kind of lovable loser character who's basically always like tripping over his own feet, spilling mustard on himself, and is basically anything but graceful in social situations. But his character is in love with his boss, who is a celebrity. He's her accountant. But of course, she's got about 10 of them, and she has no idea that he even exists. So he decides to seek out this guru, played by Will Smith, whose name is Hitch, hence the name of the movie, who says, if you just follow me, if you just do everything that I tell you to do, not only will I get her to actually notice you, but I'll get you on a date with her and give you the chance to have that happily ever after that you've always wanted. And since a lot of you haven't seen the movie, I won't spoil how it all, what all happens. But I imagine you probably would think, okay, why is Deacon bringing this up? And the reason I bring it up is because whether we realize it or not, we kind of think that following Christ or discipleship with Christ is similar to that situation. We kind of see ourselves as, sometimes that lovable loser who's a little rough around the edges, maybe not as graceful or tactful as we might want to be. So that we need to seek out the guru. We need to seek out Jesus. And if we just do everything he tells us to do, everything's going to be good. We're going to get that happily ever after. It's going to be smooth sailing. But that flies right in the face of our readings today, because it's not us who has to seek out Christ, but it's actually Christ who seeks us out. And that's an important distinction to make. In the first reading, Isaiah's kind of just minding his own business, and then he gets hit with this vision, right, with the angels and the burning coals where his mouth's purified so he can go speak the word of God. He didn't give that vision to himself. God initiated it. God sought him out. In the gospel, Jesus is around the Sea of Galilee. It says he's surrounded by crowds proclaiming the word of God. But what does he notice? He noticed these two boats. And you can kind of imagine him, maneuvering, weaving his way through the crowds, because he wants to go to Peter's boat, because he wants Peter to experience this great miracle of the catch of the fish. Again, Jesus is seeking out Peter, not the other way around. And the same is true with us. He seeks us out. And in doing so, he asks us to follow him. Now, the great thing is, imagine if it was the other way around, that we were the ones actually seeking him out. It would basically be like us applying for a job, right? Or say, oh, Lord, I want to follow you. Well, maybe this is just my personal experience, but a lot of times when I applied for jobs, I got the answer no. And can you imagine that conversation with Christ? Oh, Lord, I want to follow you. Nah. I'm not really feeling it. I don't think we have a lot of chemistry going on here. You should probably just go back to doing whatever you were doing. That would kind of stink. Or at best case scenario, okay, sure, yeah, you can be my disciple. What do you bring to the table? Are you smart? Are you funny? You charismatic? You good speaker? You athletic? What can you bring to the table? But that's not what happens, because Christ is seeking us out. He loves us so much that even though God, who needs absolutely nothing from us, as much as sometimes we'd like to think so, he seeks us out with his whole being because he wants us to be a part of his life. He wants us to follow him. And following him takes a whole bunch of different forms, for each and every one of us. We know that. For some, it could be rededicating yourself to your family, to loving your spouse, to loving your children, your siblings. For others, it could be just being a better witness in the workplace or at school. Not that we're in everybody's face about being Catholic, but to not be ashamed, to be a proud follower of Christ, to stand up for what we believe in. And for others, especially those of you who are younger, it could be to look at religious life or priesthood as a way of service. But even if we don't know what we're being called to do in this particular moment, that's okay. God's going to make it known when he needs it to. But one thing we always know that he's calling us to is to be in relationship, to be in communion with him. And that's what he does in the sacraments. In the sacrament of confession, he's always inviting us through the person of the priest with open arms, welcoming us back. By taking us back in confession, he brings us back into a good relationship with him that has been damaged or broken by sin. And in his love, our sin just can't coexist with that. It's wiped away. In the Eucharist, we'll hear take and eat, take and drink. These are invitation words. He's inviting us to share in his life, to be in communion with him, to physically and spiritually make him a part of us. So, on this fifth Sunday of Ordinary Time, God is reminding us that it's not us that's seeking him out, but it's him who's seeking us out. And even though he doesn't need us at all, he seeks us out because he loves us. A love that's so powerful, so strong, that he gave his only Son for us. And the only appropriate response to a love that amazing, that powerful, is the response of the disciples in the gospel, which was to leave everything behind and follow him.